Have you ever wondered how to talk about possibilities, dreams, or even regrets in English? Today, I will teach you conditional sentences in English, step by step, with examples you can use every day. Hello, friends. Welcome back to my channel. I am FT. Today, we are learning about 5 conditional sentences in English. These are special sentences we use to talk about facts, possibilities, dreams, and even regrets. Let's make it simple and fun. Most people use conditional sentences wrong. Why? Because they don't realize there are actually 5 distinct types, each with its own specific rules and use cases. The good news, you are about to learn all of them. They include the zero conditional, statement of fact and universal truth. The first conditional, real possibilities and their potential outcomes. The second conditional, hypothetical situations that are unlikely or impossible. The third conditional, past hypotheticals and their consequences. The mixed conditional, a blend of the past and present hypotheticals. In this lesson, I will break down each type with crystal clear examples and practical tips you can use right away. Then if you're ready, let's begin. What is a conditional sentence? Let me break it down in simple terms. A conditional sentence is like a cause and effect story told in 2 parts. The first part is the condition, which is the if part. The second part is the result, which is the then part. Here is a simple example. If it rains, we will stay indoors. In this case, if it rains is the condition. We will stay indoors is the result. You can spot most conditional sentences by looking for words like if, when, or unless. We use conditional sentences to talk about things that might happen in the future. We can use them to talk about possibilities, like what might happen if it rains. We can also use them to talk about hypothetical situations, like what would happen if we won the lottery. A conditional sentence has 2 parts, the condition and the result. The condition usually starts with a word like if or unless. The result tells us what happens if the condition is true. Do you know that there are 4 main types of conditional sentences? Each type helps us talk about different kinds of situations. Let's explore them together. The zero conditional sentence. The zero conditional sentence is a type of conditional sentence that uses the present simple tense in both the condition and the result. It's called zero because it doesn't use any special conditional verb forms. When to use the zero conditional? We use the zero conditional to talk about facts and general truths, things that are always true, scientific facts, universal truths, examples of zero conditional sentences. If you heat ice, it melts. If you mix blue and yellow, you get green. If you don't eat, you get hungry. If you don't water plants, they die. Notice the verb form. In zero conditional sentences, both the condition and the result use the present simple tense. For example, if you heat ice, is present simple. It melts, present simple. If you mix blue and yellow, present simple. You get green, is present simple. We use the zero conditional to talk about things that are always true. So we can explain how things work, describe scientific facts, talk about universal truths. First conditional sentences. The first conditional is a type of conditional sentence that uses the present simple tense in the condition and the future simple tense in the result. We use the first conditional to talk about real and possible situation in the future, plans and predictions, things that might happen if something else happens. Examples of first conditional sentences. If it rains, I will stay at home. If you study hard, you will pass the exam. If I see her, I will say hello. Notice the verb forms. In the first conditional sentences, the condition uses the present simple tense and the result uses the future simple tense. For example, if it rains is present simple. I will stay at home, future simple. If you study hard, that is present simple. You will pass the exam, future simple. We use the first conditional to talk about things that might happen in the future. So we can make plans and predictions, talk about possibilities and consequences, give advice and warnings. Second conditional sentences. The second conditional is a type of conditional sentence that uses the past simple tense in the condition and the conditional simple tense in the result. We use the second conditional to talk about unreal situations in the present or future, hypothetical situations that are unlikely to happen, things that we wish were true but are not. Examples of second conditional sentences. If I won the lottery, I would buy a house. If I were a superhero, I would save the world. Notice the verb forms. In second conditional sentences, the condition uses the past simple tense and the result uses the conditional simple tense. For example, if I won the lottery, past simple, I would buy a house, conditional simple. If I were a superhero, past simple, I would save the world, conditional simple. We use the second conditional to talk about things that are unlikely or impossible. So we can express our wishes and dreams, talk about hypothetical situations, imagine what could happen if things were different. Third conditional sentences. The third conditional is a type of conditional sentence that uses the past perfect tense in the condition and the conditional perfect tense in the result. We use the third conditional to talk about past hypothetical situations and their consequences. Things that didn't happen in the past. And what could have happened if they had. Regrets and what could have been done differently. For example, if I had studied harder, I would have passed the exam. If I had known about the party, I would have gone. Notice the verb forms. In the third conditional sentences, the condition uses the past perfect tense and the result uses the conditional perfect tense. For example, if I had studied harder, past perfect, I would have passed the exam, conditional perfect. We use the third conditional to talk about things that didn't happen in the past and what could have happened if they had. So we can express regrets and what could have been done differently. Talk about hypothetical past situations and their consequences. Imagine what could have happened if things had been different. Mixed conditional sentences. The mixed conditional is a type of conditional sentence that uses the past perfect tense in the condition and the conditional simple tense in the result. We use the mixed conditional to talk about hypothetical situations in the past and their consequences in the present. Things that didn't happen in the past and what would happen if they had. Regrets and what would happen if things had been different. Examples of mixed conditional sentences. If I had won the lottery, I would be rich by now. If I had studied harder, I would be a doctor now. Notice the verb forms. In mixed conditional sentences, the condition uses the past perfect tense and the result uses the conditional simple tense. For example, if I had won the lottery, past perfect, I would be rich now, conditional simple. If I had studied harder, past perfect, I would be a doctor now, conditional simple. We use the mixed conditional to talk about hypothetical situation in the past and their consequences in the present. So we can express regrets and what would happen if things had been different. Talk about hypothetical past situations and their consequences in the present. Imagine what would have happened if things had been different. We have just talked about the 5 types of conditional sentences that most English speakers get wrong. But here's the thing, knowledge alone isn't enough. You need to put these patterns into practice. Here is exactly what to do next. Use one type of conditional in your next conversation. Write 3 example sentence each morning. Come back to this lesson when you need a refresher. The bottom line, start using these patterns today. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel. If you found this lesson helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Share it with your friends and don't forget to subscribe for more simple English lessons every week. Thanks for watching and see you in my next lesson. Bye for now.